All right, welcome everybody. Happy National Volunteer Week. Yay! I'm so excited you guys are here. Obviously we're not celebrating the way we want to. We were hoping that by this time around, we would have you guys all in our lounges and we'd be having coffee and cookies, but unfortunately the pandemic had other plans for us. But I am happy you're here. And we're bringing you an awesome presentation today on nutrition and healthy eating habits. I'm going to do some introductions right now. So I'm going to introduce to you Assata, who's on the screen already. Say hi, Assata.
Hi.
Some of you who attended the session yesterday will know Assata's lovely face. She is our wellness coordinator here at UHN. She has a postgraduate diploma in workplace wellness and health promotion. She's also a certified fitness professional, and I found that out yesterday when I tagged her on Instagram. She teaches a variety of classes and workshops. As a mental health first aider and as a registered holistic nutritionist, Assata is excited to co-present this nutrition workshop and believes that being nutritionally well goes hand in hand with the wellness overall. With over 20 years of experience in the corporate and commercial fitness industry, Assata has made a career of helping thousands of people with their fitness and wellness goals. So thank you, Assata, for being here.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to introduce you Dr. Monica Ponta. Dr. Monica Ponta received her medical degree from University of Genoa in Italy, fancy, in 2008, and completed her residency in nutritional science at the University of Turin in Italy. She worked in a clinical setting dealing with nutrition-related issues before moving to Canada, where she became a registered dietitian. Dr. Ponta is currently employed as a clinical research coordinator at the Toronto Centre for Liver Disease. Her research interests include nutrition-related diseases like obesity, chronic intestinal failure, and more recently, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. She has been a study coordinator for the fecal microbiota transplant. Did I say that right? In obese subjects, and the national coordinator of the Canadian Home Parenteral
Nutrition.
You would think working at a healthcare setting, I'd be good used to these big words. Nutrition Therapy Registry. She's also part of the CAN-NASH group. And Dr. Ponta is also an enthusiastic wellness ambassador at TGH, just like me. So we attend the quarterly meetings with Assata and try to come up with ways to bring wellness to our teams. So I'm going to pause myself from talking because the little guy is running rampant, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as Veronica mentioned, if you, because we're recording and also just so that you can really enjoy the fullness of this presentation, we're going to ask that you use the chat feature and that you keep your microphone on mute during the presentation. You can communicate with us at any time using the chat feature, and we're just about ready to go. All I need is for some of you, at least 5 of you, to put a Y in the chat to let me know that you are ready to go. About 1, good, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Great. Thank you so much. I'm about to share my screen now, and the presentation officially begins. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to be here. All right, so hoping that you can see my screen now. We, again, are happy to be here. Special mention to Dr. Heather Gordon. Without her, this presentation would not be possible. So both Monica and I are very grateful for her guidance with regards to this presentation. Now, as a fitness professional, as an educator, I know a fair amount about nutrition, but at the same time, with this pandemic happening and these trying times, I've been personally finding it difficult to maintain some of the wellness that I'm used to, and that's fine. And that's why we're going to start with this bright practice. So feel free now to follow along by reading, to close your camera, to look down, to close your eyes even, as we go through this short practice. Sitting comfortably, everyone. From the domain of perspective, in this bright practice, we are taking a compassion break and bringing to mind a recent disappointment or a challenging situation. Just 3 steps from here. Step 1, Recognize as you bring this challenging situation to mind, recognize that you're feeling disappointed or having a tough time. So try saying, this is hard. Or saying to yourself, this is tough. Step 2, acknowledging that changes and that challenges are a part of life, we can try saying next, I'm not alone. Or, others in this situation feel like this too. Your final step, step 3, is to offer yourself some words of encouragement, as if you're talking to a friend. So try saying something like, I am strong. I will get through this. Or, may I just take care of myself? And our tip for today is that in moments when things don't go as planned or we're feeling disappointment, we can always shorten that 3-step practice by simply taking one hand to the heart, giving ourselves a little gentle squeeze, and in a kind tone saying, this is tough. Thank you for joining us for that bright practice. And with that, this presentation is Nutrition Tips for General Health. Again, happy Volunteer Week, National Volunteer Week. We're happy that you're here. Monica, did you want to go through the disclaimer?
Yes, I can do it. Thank you, Assata. So thanks, Veronica, for inviting us. Thanks, Assata, for the introduction, and to Heather for supporting all this. So today we're presenting some tips for general health from the nutritional point of view. And just a disclaimer, so what we're presenting today are just recommendations for the general population. So just to let you know that what we're saying today might not apply to certain medical conditions or to specific populations like children, elderly, pregnant and lactating women, and also athletes. So it might not be good for every one of you, but for most of you, I think it will apply. And if you need a customized approach or some recommendations, just reach out to a healthcare professional like your family physician or a registered dietitian. And I think after this, yes, so we can start. So basically, what we're gonna talk about today is healthy eating. And I want to start from the healthy plate from the new Canada Food Guide. Many of you probably have seen this picture. So the Canada Food Guide have been recently revised, and I think they're easier to follow now. As you can see, this plate is almost a whole food plant-based diet, because you have the left part is fruit and vegetables, then you have 1/4 of grains, and they're all plant-based, and then you have 1/4 of proteins, which is half plant-based with legumes, for example, and nuts, and then you have the animal product like eggs, fish and meat, and dairy. So this is what we're gonna talk today, each of the 3 sections. But before that, I would like you to do an exercise with me. So I want you to think about all the food you have in one day and imagining to put all that food on a table. So think about your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, any snacks in between, anything you drink, everything on the table. So to have a healthy eating pattern, what you see on the table should like the proportions should be like this healthy plate. So half of what you eat should be fruit and vegetables. 1/4 should be your grains, and 1/4 should be your source of proteins. So we will talk about the details of each section, as I mentioned, but first we want to keep you engaged. So Assata, is back to you.
All right, so everyone, it is quiz time. We ask that you use your chat feature again to answer the following question. Who said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food? We are giving you exactly 10 seconds to answer this question. Good, so I feel I'm not sure what's happening in the chat, but you got another 2 seconds. Oh, there's some action happening.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and the answer
Some
is
answers.
Monica.
Yes, it's Hippocrates. So I saw some of you giving the right answer. Congratulations. So Hippocrates was basically the father of medicine. And Asata, like you do, I like when you say that, you can go ahead and say that.
I always say, yes, Monica. I always say that Hippocrates was very knowledgeable, but he was also looking into the future, and he knew that today we'd be talking about nutrition. He knew that today we'd be talking about food and how important that is to our overall health. So yes, medicine, yes, but food is a part of us taking care of ourselves. Back to you, Monica.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's start with the first part of the plate. So fruit and vegetable, the left side of the plate. So here the recommendation is to have like half of what you eat should be fruit and vegetables. But here I would like you to focus more on the veggie side. So both fruit and vegetables contains fibers, vitamins, and minerals. So they're providing amazing nutrients important for our health. However, fruit has also more sugar than vegetables. So you can have again, in general, a couple of servings of fruit per day. And with a serving, consider 1 cup if it comes to like smaller fruits like berries, or like 1 orange or 1 apple are considered 1 serving. So try to have a couple of them and of fruits, and the rest will be your vegetables. And also consider like starchy vegetables like potatoes and beets. They will go in the grain quarter. So consider all the non-starchy vegetables in here.
Yeah.
And another recommendation is to give priority to dark green and orange fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
And here, back to Asata.
Yes. So the question that Monica and I have for you is, what are examples of orange and green dark veggies and fruit? Please use the chat feature again to type in your examples of orange or dark green veggies or fruit. Ah, I see action. I see lots of
Yes, good.
good. What are we seeing so far? Carrots,
Yes,
pumpkin
carrots.
squash. You go, Monica.
Yeah, spinach, kale,
Mhm.
orange cantaloupe, spinach, kale, broccoli. Good.
Ooh.
Wow, all good answers.
All right, so we are grateful for your answers. And Monica?
So here you can see some examples of orange and dark green. So for orange, you have both fruit and vegetables. For dark green is mainly veggies. And I'm glad nobody said, for example, zucchini, because they're dark green on the outside, but they're basically white inside. So they don't really count as dark green. So, but good answer. And why are we recommending these two colors is because they're more dense in nutrients. So if you have how much? Let's see, Asata.
Yes.
How much should we have?
Let's see.
So if you have at least 1 serving of dark green vegetables and 1 serving of orange vegetable every day, you are ensuring that most of the vitamin and minerals intake for the day is ensured. So try to have that. And then all the other servings to reach the half of what you eat should be all the other colors of the rainbow.
Beautiful. Well said. Colors of the rainbow. I love that analogy.
Okay, and now it's time for the other part. So the grains quarter. So they're the main source of carbs, and carbs is important because it's fuel for our cells. And also grains can be a great source of fibers if we're eating whole grains. One point here really important is these grains can become processed and ultra processed. So for example, if you think about bread or all the baked products like muffins and so on, so they're ultra processed. So the recommendation here is truly to try to have whole grains as much as possible. And if you're having some processed food like bread or pasta, try to have the whole wheat version, or like brown rice, whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta. Now let's see if you know something more about grains. Asata.
Yes, back to me. What types of whole grains have you tried? Not judging, not asking you to change, just wondering what types of whole grains have you tried? And can you type those in the chat, please?
Let's see. Bulgur. Okay.
Yes, good one. Oh, here they come.
Quinoa.
Good. Looking for just a couple more responses. Take a guess. Quinoa. Quinoa's a popular one.
Yeah. Yes, seeds. Okay.
Brown rice. Good, Asa.
Brown rice.
Good. Okay. Ready?
Yes. Okay, I think you can proceed. So as you can see, there are way more than than those that you type it in. However, they were good answers.
They were.
And here is just an example. So 18 type of grains, of whole grains. So you have plenty. So try to have one different one every week. And then if you like it, you can incorporate in your new recipes and in your meal plan. If you don't, well, there are many more to try. And if you go to the next slides, you will see that also people with celiac disease can enjoy most of these because those that with the little symbol are naturally free of gluten. So options also for celiac disease. So try them.
Yes.
And here, since we were talking about fruit and grains, it's the time to talk about the glycemic index. I don't know if some of you heard about this term, but basically glycemic index is a number given to foods which contains some sugars and carbohydrates. And the number is telling us how fast we absorb the sugars from the food and how fast those sugars are going in the bloodstream. And to make it simple, where is usually represented as traffic lights with colors. So green, it's a low glycemic index, which is good. And you can have these green foods often, anytime you want, like daily. Yellow is caution, like maybe a little bit less often because the glycemic index is a little bit higher, and red is pretty high, so choose them less often or have smaller amounts. That also because glycemic index is calculated based on 100 grams of sugar from that food, but then how much you eat, it makes a difference. So, and this is the defined glycemic load, which is the glycemic index multiplied by the grams of food. So we want with this workshop to give you practical tips, right? So try to aim to a glycemic load of 50 for each 1,000 calories in your diet. So usually healthy adults, they might have something around 2,000 calories per day if they're at least a little bit active. So aim to 100 of glycemic load per day. And if we go to the slides, it's giving some examples. So what is the glycemic load of 100 grams of these different foods? So apricot is just 2. Banana, you see, banana, it's a little bit in the yellow side if it's ripe, can be red if it's overripe, and can reach 5. So 5 is for the ripe, normal ripe banana. Grapes, it's 7. Beans are 4. Cooked potatoes, they start to be higher, glycemic load of 12. Carrots, just 7. But potato chips, you see, 35. So it's 100 grams. It's still potato like cooked potatoes, but the processing, how we process the food is making a huge impact on how fast we absorb the sugars. So this is also why we recommend whole foods more than refined and processed foods, because also the glycemic index is lower if they're not processed a lot. And yogurt is 7. So you can find, we will provide you also the references to of all the thing we're showing here. So the full table of the glycemic index can be found on the Diabetes Canada website.
Thanks for that reminder, Monica.
Okay, and then still about sugars. Let's give you some examples because sugar can be hidden. Sometimes we have some food or we drink some drinks and we don't know how much sugar we're getting from these items. So here you have some examples. So you have an orange, you have orange juice, you have a bagel, and you have a soda pop. And just to show you, so if we start showing slowly the content. So if we have a medium orange, is 200 grams. So the total carbohydrates are 10 grams, and they're all simple sugars. So 10 grams of sugars, glycemic load is 4. And this equals 2.5 packets of sugar. So with one packet being 4 grams as an average. And then if we go to orange juice instead, you would say, okay, more or less will be similar to an orange, right? Yeah, but you have to pay attention because carbohydrates, 26 grams. So 26 grams of simple sugars, glycemic load 3 times higher is 12, and equals 3, 4, 5, how many? 6 packets of
Wow.
sugar.
This is shocking
Wow.
to me, Monica. I'm sorry to interrupt,
So,
but wow.
so much better to have an orange than to drink oranges. We have too many sugars concentrated, and often some vitamins might be lost during the process. So have the orange instead of the oranges. So now the bagel. Well, the bagel usually is 100 grams. You have 50 grams of carbohydrates total. The simple sugars are just 6. But if you consider that there should not be added sugar, and here is just the flour, which is more starch, it's still a good amount. Glycemic load, you see 34, because the way it is processed, it's so easy to be absorbed. And there are also the carbohydrates, which are higher than like is almost double than the orange juice, overall the carbs,
Right.
but still they're absorbed very fast because it's more than double the glycemic load of
Right.
the orange juice. And 1.5 packet of sugar just for the simple sugars. And now soda pop, one can, 330 milliliters. So guess what? They're all simple sugars, 36 grams. Glycemic load 24. And how many packets of sugar? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
Can you imagine how many of you will continue drinking pops knowing it's the same of having water with dissolved like 9 packets of sugar in it? Okay.
Or at least,
I'll let you decide. Each one
yes,
of you can decide.
I was just going to say, or at least temper the amount of pop that you have, or know that when I do enjoy a can of pop, that I might want to enjoy some water at the same time, or at least not enjoy 5 cans of pop. Maybe 1 can of pop is more realistic, would you say, depending because of the amount of sugar?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything, like there is nothing that is always super healthy that you can have in unlimited amount, and nothing that is always so poisonous. Like if you have one kind of pop once in a while, there's a birthday party, like also for the mood, once in a while could be good, like, but has to be, recommendation is to be not often, not daily, and maybe not more than one when you have it.
Good point, Monica. Thank you.
Everything in moderation.
Yes.
Okay, and now we are moving to the last part of the healthy plate, our sources of proteins. So proteins are important because they're the building bricks for muscles, but they're also used to build antibodies and some hormones. So their function is really like more than just building muscles. And we don't need so much. Like we don't need high protein diets. We don't need to add proteins to our meals. Usually what we have with normal healthy eating with this healthy plate is enough. We need 0.8 to 1 gram of proteins for each kilogram of body weight. And this especially if the body weight is within normal ranges. Might be a little bit different if we're very, very skinny or we have a few pounds extra, but this is just as a general rule. And the other thing is our body only absorb a certain amount of proteins during the meal. So if we have too much, then it is excreted through the kidneys and could be hard on our kidneys. So don't have too much, and also distribute the proteins throughout the day, in a little bit of protein in each meal makes them absorb in an easier way. And one other thing, I'm not talking about fats specifically in this presentation, but fats always often comes along with the proteins. So another rule of thumb, like animal proteins comes with fats, and animal fats could be a little bit less healthy. One exception though is fish. So have low fat meat, but if you're having fish, you can have like a salmon or like some type of fish which is a little bit higher in fat because they're rich in omega-3, which are the good healthy fats. And on the opposite, vegetable fats, they're usually healthier options. And here also we have an exception. For example, the coconut and palm kernel oil, they're rich in saturated fat. So I know this might be a little bit surprising for some of you, like in natural health shops, they're often promoting coconut-based products. They're rich in saturated fats, so they're like butter. So keep that in mind. So healthier option are the proudly Canadian canola oil or the olive oil. They're healthier in the composition of the type of fat. But now back to Assata. I spoke too much.
No, you didn't speak too much at all. That was really good information, Monica. And it has me thinking and wondering, what are some of your favorite proteins? So for everyone, please use the chat feature and let us know what are some of your favorite proteins.
Okay, trout, egg, good. Greek yogurt, good, yes. Good. Eggs.
Eggs, salmon, yep, salmon, I'm there for salmon. Lentils, yes.
Sure, fish. Oh, good options, everyone. Tofu, sure.
Very nice.
Yes. Okay. Eggs, beans, and milk. Perfect. All good, great answers. So the recommendation here, we all know that meat and fish are good sources of protein. So here we want to recommend to try alternative sources of protein other than meat and fish. And when you do that, when you have more a vegetarian type of intake of proteins, try to combine legumes and cereals. This because the proteins we eat are like Lego buildings made of all the little bricks. So when we eat them, we digest them. So we remove all the bricks and we use all the colors and shapes to make our own Lego building, our own proteins. So we need all the type of colors and shapes to be able to create whatever we want. So fish and meat, they contains all the colors and shape of the Lego bricks. If you're having more the vegetarian sources, legumes and cereals, they do not have all the colors and shape, but if you do combine them, then you get all the basic bricks. So you can create all the proteins you need. So this is why if you're avoiding meat and fish and eggs, try to combine both legumes and cereals, at least on the same day, if not on the same meal.
Yes, great advice, as always. So what's your key message here, Monica?
So the key message is eat a variety of whole foods. So variety is key and whole foods is key. Variety is very important because if you have a variety of fruit and vegetables and grains and colors and everything, you have less chances of have nutrient deficiencies. So you have more chances of getting everything you need. And whole foods, we said that a lot, like non-processed, you have a lower glycemic index and you have more vitamins and minerals and the fibers in the foods.
Yes.
So now we want to keep you engaged, and you probably heard a lot about COVID and some vitamins that might help prevent the disease or treat the disease. And whether this is right or not, there is not enough literature to say, okay, this vitamin is key or it is not. However, what you can do to promote your health and in general, despite COVID, is to ensure you have enough vitamins and minerals that you need. So taking them from the food you eat is always better than a supplement unless there's a need, and this can be discussed like in a one-by-one cases. But getting the nutrients from food is always a preferred way. So now we want to help you understand and guess where you can find some of the vitamins.
Yes.
Assata.
Yes, thank you. So yes, now it's quiz time, everyone. Get ready because we're going to use the chat feature again. Please, in the chat feature, you're typing in A, B, C, or D to which is the richest vitamin, which is richest in vitamin C per 100 grams of food. Is it A, bell peppers? Is it B, beef liver? Is it C, freshly squeezed orange juice? Or is it D, mango? 10 seconds.
Okay, let's see the answer. The bell pepper, mango. I love this question.
Yeah, me too. 2 seconds. A, B, C, or D? Thank you for participating, everyone. It's fun to guess, but it's time for the answer. And the answer is, Monica?
Unexpectedly, beef liver. And look at the amounts, is way richer in vitamin C than the other foods. Surprised? So, this is explaining why, for example, some First Nations living in the north of Canada, they were able to survive and get all the vitamin C they needed because they had no way to grow crops like fruit and vegetables for many months because it was too cold. So they were hunting animals and eating the whole animal and getting the vitamin C, which is usually typical of fruit and veggies. They were getting that from the organs. So if compatible with your culture and new traditions, you can give it a try to liver. And someone pointed out that liver is eliminating toxins. So yes, it's eliminating toxin, it's not storing them. So it's still healthy to eat. And the risk with liver, but also with meat in general and fish and food in general, is contamination with pathogens. So if you follow the proper food handling, you're reducing this risk. So if you cook meat and fish up to 73 degrees Celsius or 165 Fahrenheit, you're pretty sure you're killing all the pathogens. And by the way, as just a hint, most food poisoning are coming from green leafy vegetables.
Wow.
Not from meat and fish. So wash them really properly.
Yes.
So
great tip, Monica. You always got the best, interesting tips. Even though we've done this before, you always have a way of surprising me and educating me. Thank you. Quiz time again. Are you ready for another quiz, Monica?
Absolutely. Go for it.
All right, thank you. So with this, what food is richest in vitamin D per serving? Is it A, fish liver oil? Is it B, fish meat? Is it C, mushrooms? Or D, eggs?
Curse. Eggs. Meat, eggs.
No music.
A lot of eggs.
A
lot of eggs.
Little bit of music. For another 2 seconds, everyone. A, B, C, or D? What are you guessing?
Okay. So there's a mix of answers overall.
Perfect.
Not many mushrooms, but a mix of the others. So the tricky answer is there's no one right answer. That was very tricky.
Yes.
So, so the point here is it depends on really what you're eating. So, for example, about fish meat. If you're taking a halibut is a really good source of vitamin D. For one serving, so 75 grams, is already 1,000 units. Consider that the average adult, so from 9 years of age to 70, the requirement is 600 units per day. So this is providing more than the daily recommended amount. But if you're having a mackerel, it's only 73 units.
Mm-hmm.
And same for mushrooms. A maitake can be 400, a morel just 72. Eggs are more consistent on 61. And the most consistent in providing high amount of vitamin D is fish liver oil, 855 from just a spoon. However, it contains also a lot of vitamin A, and vitamin A, like D, they can be stored in the body, and too much vitamin A can have some side effects. So don't start having fish liver oil just because you're getting the vitamin D. So again, talk with a healthcare professional to see your own situation. So food in general is not the best source of vitamin D. We produce vitamin D in our skin by being exposed to sunlight. So the recommendation is also for the mood, go outdoors, stay outdoor whenever possible, whenever the stay home order allows that.
Yes.
And of course balance that with the risk of skin cancer if you are exposed for too long and in the hottest hour of the day, especially in summer. But stay outdoor and have your skin produce some vitamin D. Another interesting fact, when you stay under the sun and your skin gets a little bit pinkish and you are producing something between 10,000 and 25,000 units for that sun exposure. And when the skin becomes pinkish, is already a grade 1 burn. So you don't want to do that, but just to give you an idea of how much we produce with our being exposed to the sun. And it depends on the skin color as well. So a lot of things, it's complicated, vitamin D.
Yes. But now we've got
can...
general knowledge, which is the reason for this this presentation. So thank you again, Monica.
Thank you to all for attending.
Yes.
Okay, one more question.
One more question. We want to know, inquiring minds want to know, what is the average, what is your guess on the average daily sodium intake of Canadians? Is it A, 3,400 milligrams? Is it B, 2,700 milligrams? Is it C, 2,300 milligrams? Or is it D, 1,500 milligrams? Use the chat feature, please.
Okay, so a mix of answers. Okay.
Yeah. Ready for the answer?
All the amount. Yes.
All of the above. Someone said the music is getting shorter and shorter. So here we go. The answer is?
The answer is 2,700. This is the current average sodium intake for Canadians. And if we show the little, so, and this is from the 2017 data. We're doing better because in 2004 we were consuming 3,400, so we reduced a little bit, and the goal is to consume 2,300 milligrams per day for the general population. And if someone has some medical condition linking to a higher risk of heart diseases, the recommendation is a little bit lower, like 1,500. So if we go to the next slide, we see that the recommended amount is 2,300 of sodium. But sodium is part of salt, and as you see in the picture, is combined with chloride. So we're not consuming sodium in daily life. So we're using salt, table salt. So 2,300 milligrams of sodium equals 6 grams of table salt, which is about a teaspoon. So here the recommendation is, do not consume more than 1 teaspoon of salt per day. And the important part is not just the salt that you add on your food when you're cooking or when you have your food on your plate, but it's also what is hidden in foods. So if you go to the next slides, you see here, these are the major contributors of sodium intake in the Canadian diet. And as you see, the major 3 culprits, I would say, are bakery products, mixed dishes, considering those pre-made, like ready to heat, and processed meats, and also cheese and soups. So all those are the major contributor to our sodium intake, and they're hidden. They're there. If we are having some bread, there's nothing we can do with sodium is there. So to make it a little bit more visual, we can show you, for example, if you're having a sandwich, you're taking 2 slices of bread. Here is whole wheat, but still it's bread. Yes. 2 slices of cheese and 2 slices of ham. You see the milligram of sodium, and let's look at how many salt packets they equal. So 1.5 only for the bread, and then 2/3 for the cheese, and another 1.5 for ham. So you're having a sandwich. Hopefully you're putting some veggies in there as well. But talking about the sodium,
Yes.
well, that is already 910 milligrams, which is 40% of the recommended daily intake. And it's just a sandwich. So think about it. So as long as you can have your sandwich. If you decide you're on the go, it's better maybe a sandwich or you make home and you consider that is already 40% and then you balance the other meals.
Right. Awareness is key. Would you agree,
Exactly.
Monica?
Yes, absolutely. Be aware of what you're eating and so you can adjust in each meal. If you're having too much of one thing on one meal, you can have a little bit less on the other one.
Perfect. Next. Key
Another
message. Yes, please share with us your key message next.
Yes. So cook from scratch as much as you can. This is very important because in this way you have control over what you're eating. Like, for example, for sodium, but not just for that, for everything. Like for sodium, if you make your bread at home, you can reduce the amount of salt you're putting inside. And often in North America, they're also adding sugar to bread. So you can just put just a tiny bit that makes the yeast grow and no more than that. And an example is also like cook from scratch the healthy food, of course, but also if you have a crave for something a little bit less healthy, try to make it yourself. Like if you want a lemon loaf, bake it. So you also can see how much sugar and butter is in there.
Yes.
And maybe you decide to maybe have a smaller slice. So
Yeah.
awareness, it's just a matter of awareness.
Yes, agreed.
And then we have, this is again from the Canada Food Guide, the information material, and just some overall recommendations. So be mindful of your eating habits. So if you tend to eat very fast, or if you tend to have some habits that you think it can be improved, be aware. This is the first thing you can do to then change them.
Yes.
Cook more often. We just mentioned that, and
Yes.
also cook with your kids, especially with the stay home. Maybe those with kids that don't know what to do. Well, like to keep them engaged. So cook with your kids. They will learn very useful skills, and it's time that you spend with them, and they will learn to cook. It's a really good skill for their life. Enjoy your food. It's very important that anything you eat, try to enjoy it at least. And if you then it was something less healthy and you don't try not to feel guilty, remember the right practice that Assata presented at the beginning and start again. So, okay, you had something that you had a crave, and then, okay, the next meal will be healthier. But
Yeah.
enjoy what you're eating and don't have just healthy food that is tasteless. Give taste with spices and herbs so you can enjoy. Eat meals with others whenever it's possible. You can do even if you're like alone or just two people in a household. You can have a Zoom dinner. Like
Yeah.
some of my friends were having Zoom dinners, better than nothing. And use food labels. I know this is just we could do just a workshop only on food labels, but
One day.
it looks like one day, yes, one day. It looks like there's a lot of information in there, but maybe start with little things like try to compare different brands and try to have, for example, the lower amount of sodium, for example, or something little like this. Start with that.
Yes.
Limit highly processed foods. We already talked about that a lot, so I'm not spending more words. And also be aware that marketing can influence your food choices. And we are living in an environment which is promoting, even in an unconscious way, is promoting eating a lot and eating junk food. So just be mindful and aware that marketing can influence our choices. And when you do the grocery shopping, go there with a full stomach. So you will be able to resist more. Write down a list of what you need and stick with that and go there with a full stomach. It's helping.
Great point. And I love this slide as a summary slide of what we've been discussing. So thank you, Monica.
Thank
More
you,
quick,
Seth.
please, if you don't mind.
Oh, this is, I like it. So eat your calories, don't drink them. For several reasons. One is because like when you drink them, they're going down. It's easier. They're going down so quickly and so fast. And also when you drain calories, you don't have the same effect on satiation that you would have if you're eating the same ingredients, for example, you use for a smoothie. So it's always better to eat the calories. And also, like, for example, make the recommendation from the Canada Food Guide is to make water your drink of choice. However, if you like coffee and teas, that's good. Just try to have them black. And if you're still having your double coffee, try to maybe, and this is of course in general, just in general,
Yes.
try to maybe switch the cream to milk and reduce a little bit the sugar and see how it goes. Especially if you need to lose a little bit of weight, you can start with trying to start to enjoy the black coffee and tea.
Small steps towards big goals.
Exactly. And another tip about so a Starbucks latte is not lunch.
As delicious as it is, it's not lunch.
Well, probably calorie-wise could be almost a lunch, but
Yikes, yes.
another tip. So it's hard to change habits, especially habits that we had for a long time. So don't feel frustrated if you don't start having like the healthy plate right away, starting tonight or tomorrow. Just baby steps, as Assata was saying, and try, for example, add healthy food to your meal. So if you're having a sandwich, try to put as much veggies as you can, like spinach, dark green, we were saying, to your sandwich. Or if you want a snack, try some fruit or maybe some nuts. So baby steps. Try to switch or add healthy items in there. Like if you're adding veggies or fruit, you're adding vitamins, you're adding fibers, and you're adding minerals. So you're still improving.
Good point. Great point.
And then we know that most of the volunteers working from home, they do not have access to the intranet. However, whenever you have a chance to be on site, you can look at these resources, and we're just trying to find a way if we can share this eatery guide with you. So Veronica will probably be in touch with you if we can. We'll be happy to do so. And there are a lot of resources on like tips if you're like for shift workers, for healthy eating, eating out, or whenever it will be possible again, healthy snacks and some other recommendations.
Yes, and with wellness in general, when you get to the internet site, you'll go to the search page, the search section, and just type in wellness. And this is where you'll find not just the eatery guide, but a variety of resources that may be available to you. And you, even though you don't have a TID, I believe that you can still subscribe to the wellness newsletter, but is jam-packed with useful, wonderful information, not just on nutrition, but on a variety of wellness topics.
Okay. Thank you, Assata.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so I believe this is question time, and I saw in the chat some of the questions. All right,
Veronica, did you want to jump in? Maybe
Help you
maybe you can help to guide
get
some
some questions.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. So I did see one a little bit earlier that asked about what was your take on intermittent fasting?
Okay, yes, this is something I like. So here we're trying to provide evidence-based recommendations. So things that are like published in the research, not just ideas. So for intermittent fasting, there have been a few studies, but not as many in humans. So some studies in mice, they showed that looks really effective in getting rid of the fat, which is called visceral fat. So the fat which is in our belly around the organs, and which, just to summarize, make it easier, that fat is the one linked to diabetes, high blood pressure, and cardiovascular risk. So it looks like intermittent fasting is giving a break to our body to just take a break from metabolizing all the foods. And in this way, we're able to get rid of those visceral fat. In mice, this has been clearly demonstrated. In humans, is a little bit more complicated. And also, we don't want just to assess maybe just the fat, getting rid of some fat, but we want to show it's safe and it's also effective in preventing diseases like a heart attack or cardiovascular diseases. However, what I read so far in a few studies done in humans is It looks pretty safe. And again, I'm talking about general population. So if you have specific medical conditions, just have a personalized advice. So it looks pretty safe and it looks like promising. However, there is not enough data at the moment to recommend that. So if you're not doing intermittent fasting, I'm not telling you to start doing it.
Right.
But I hope that maybe in the future with more data, maybe this could be a new recommendation because it looks promising.
Great.
Wonderful. All right, we have someone asking, what is your take on the keto diet?
Yes, that also, I'm glad this came out. So I'm a registered dietitian and a physician, and my point on keto diet is very strong, and it's not just mine, it's like the dietitian as well, is keto diet is a medical treatment. So should not be considered as a way of eating. It's not an eating pattern. It's something that is really disrupting our metabolism in a way and has potential severe side effects. So people should not start a keto diet if not under the control of a physician or a dietitian. So because you can have bad side effects. And also another point is keto diet, the true keto diet was, I don't know if you know this, but it was created to treat seizures in kids. Kids who had seizure and they were not controlled by medication, they were so severe, they found that a keto diet was very effective in calming down the brain activity and reducing the number of seizures. But the real keto diet is not a high protein diet, it's a high fat diet. What I'm seeing almost daily is like people go on a keto diet thinking it's a keto diet, but it's a high protein diet. So they fill themselves with a lot of meat, of cold cuts and fish and eggs, and they have a lot of protein. That is not even the true keto diet. Keto diet true is the normal amount of protein that I mentioned, 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And then basically you replace the carbs with fat. There are side effects, so it's really not recommended.
And on the same note, is the keto diet the same as the paleo diet? What are the differences to you?
Okay, so the paleo diet is a diet that is basically you are eating whatever our ancestors found were eating like millions of years, like thousands of years ago. So our ancestors, before the discovery and the use of agriculture, they were hunters. So they were having meat and fish, and they were just foraging berries and whatever vegetables was growing wild without the need of agriculture. So basically the paleo diet is different than the keto diet because it also involves a certain amount of carbs. It's just the quality of the food. For example, in a paleo diet, you will not see anything that is processed because our ancestors were just hunting animals and cooking them on a fire, and they were getting some berries or maybe some vegetables, but they were not, for example, having crops of wheat and turning it into flour. So they were not having all the baked goods that we have. So think about a paleo diet as a low processed diet mainly. So it's really different than a keto. And if you want to like, it's a healthier option if you, in a sense, because it's basically non-processed foods. And if you, the amounts, like if you use the quality of the food item from the paleo diet and the amount is following the healthy plate, that could be a good option. Absolutely. I hope I answered the question.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll do one more, or let me see what else we have. Someone's asking, how do you increase your water take and how much should we be drinking daily?
Okay, this is also a good question. So many of you probably heard about the 8 glasses of water per day. The need of water is really depends on each person, and also the weather. If it's warmer, you need more water. The level of your physical activity. If you're doing some physical activity that makes you sweat, you have to compensate for the sweat that you lost. And the 8 glasses of water, they actually were not really meant to be 8 actual glasses of water, but that would be the amount of fluids you need during the day, but including also the fluids that you would take, for example, from a soup or from veggies and fruits. So it really depends. I would say to be just on the safe side, to have maybe 4 to 6 glasses of water or coffee or teas, like of fluids. That is enough. But for a better recommendation on a case-by-case side, just again, refer to a healthcare professional, or also listen at your thirst.
Okay.
Another thing I can say about drinking water is if you drink far from your meals, it's better for 2 reasons. Like one is because when you drink during the meal, you're diluting the gastric acids, which are helping you to digest. So for some people, if you're used to drink during your meal and you have no problem, you can continue this way. But if you have some issues, maybe digesting, like your digestion is taking a little bit longer, try not to drink during the meal. So the gastric acids are more concentrated and they're more effective in the digestion of the food in the stomach. So you can drink up to half an hour before your meal and then start drinking again 1 hour after. And the other thing is not just for diluting the gastric acids, it's creating volume in your stomach, and you might be too full. So you might have discomfort. So
I know I tend to drink too much water with my meals, that's for sure. We have one last question. Coconut oil, although saturated, does not impact cholesterol, right?
Well, this is not entirely true, because like all the saturated fats are impacting the cholesterol level. So if you're having a lot of coconut oil, your cholesterol level might go up. Yes. What the use of coconut oil is because it's rich in what they're called MCTs, medial chain triglycerides. So when we eat fats, usually fats are digested and then they are absorbed after digesting, after enzymes working on them. But the MCTs, they don't need that. They just go through the intestine layer and they are just absorbed directly. So these MCT oils are used when there is an issue with absorption. So people with malabsorption, they're recommended to use MCT oils, and coconut is the main source of MCT. But other than that, saturated fats may increase cholesterol levels. So if you are healthy, you don't have problem with cholesterol, and you're having a tiny bit every now and then, probably it's not a big harm. But if you have already high cholesterol levels, you don't want to have coconut oil, not on a daily basis, not to replace other type of oils like canola oil or olive oil. But again, like if this is your case, just ask like for a professional to assess. Another thing that I should say, so one thing that is frustrating from the all related to nutrition is you have a few studies, they're showing, oh, this is good. And then a few years after, oh no, that was good, now it's bad. And then it's good again. So about saturated fats, it looked pretty a strong finding that saturated fats, all of them, they're increasing the bad cholesterol levels, and so increasing the risk of all the diseases, heart attack and everything. And then I saw recently a meta-analysis, which means it's a study evaluating other studies made by different people. And they were saying, well, saturated fats look not as bad as we thought before. So sometimes it's hard to give recommendation because the literature is changing. But as of now, the recommendation is to reduce the saturated fats in coconuts coconut and coconut oils are sources of saturated fats. So at this point, there's no recommendation to have it freely.
But this is why it's important to have sessions like this, because information is constantly changing.
Yes.
Everybody gets confused. I mean, imagine if you get confused in your field, what the average person gets confused with, right? So we're very thankful for having you here today, obviously. I know that this was a very timely session for someone like me. I'm working from home. I'm stressed out. My kid is here. The fridge is very, very close.
Yeah.
Too close. We've been trying very hard to keep the bad food out of the house because it's the only way we avoid it. So I try to go to the grocery store with my blinders on, go the aisles I need, avoid the ice cream aisles, you know. So I do thank you very much. I mean, I just want to make sure there's no, please address some. Oh, one last question. If you have a minute, please address some foods for rising good cholesterol.
Okay, so for rising good cholesterol is not a lot about foods, is mainly about the lifestyle in general. So not smoking and being physically active. So interestingly, the food is mainly having an impact on the bad cholesterol, the LDL. However, the good cholesterol, the HDL, it's rising when we are physically active and we do not smoke. And what we can do, like food-wise, we can avoid the foods that increase the bad one, but to increase the good one is mainly the lifestyle. Red wine looked like a little bit involved into that, but I won't recommend starting drinking wine to have positive effect on the health. And so absolutely, there is no indication to start drinking wine for health purposes. And with the pandemic, the increase of alcohol consumption, even in amounts which can be worrisome, has been like going up a lot. So like overall, try to abstain from alcohol. The best thing could be just not having alcohol at all.
Well, once in a while for our mental health, right? One glass of wine.
Yes, if you really can stick to that and you're already having that habit, but still the recommendation would be to not to consume alcohol.
Oh, you have to.
There are more risk to.
Well, wonderful. And thank you so much. We're very, very fortunate to have, you know, Team UHN members available to us to be able to share tips and tricks with us. So I do thank you so much for your time. I know it's valuable. I want to thank all the volunteers for being here. You guys are getting lots of thank yous in the chat as well. You want to say bye, Dylan?
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, please send them my way. I will try to, you know, send them to Monica and Assata in case, you know, they are able to answer for you. We'll provide the recording for the session for those of you who registered as well. And Assata put some resources in the chat, so make sure you copy those before we go. And thanks so much. I'm going to be sharing the wellness newsletter information as well, so you guys can sign up for that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll see you at tomorrow's session.
Wonderful. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Veronica, can I ask you a quick question? From yesterday's presentation, there was about information about joining the choir. I've tried to look into that and I'm not having success. Can I email you and get the link? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get Heather to send me the information and I'll forward it along to you.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much for today.
No worries. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Veronica, for
Yes.
the choir.
Go ahead, Barb.
Sorry, can you please send the information? Because I tried to yesterday at UHN, like wellness at UHN, and I got nothing.
Okay, I'll send it to you as well.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Bye. It was
Have a
wonderful.
good day. You too. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Assata.
You're very welcome. I'm going to stop the recording in 30
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.